Hey, welcome to the weekly open mic. We do this call for you folks. MSPs asked to hear and see what's new in the platform, feature-wise, what bugs we fixed, and you folks wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate of automations that your peers are working on. Speaking of that, I do think the community is what makes Rewst awesome. And I know a bunch of friendships that have emerged from this community. It's great. You folks call me, you're my people. So with that, some reminders, if you're working with us on Discord, tag us, respond in a thread, do something that you think will cause it to go ding on our end. So we need to go look at your channel because we're monitoring hundreds of channels at the same time. Oh, and if you're working in Discord and asking questions, then you're doing the right thing, because I know approximately 8, 12, 10, 20, 0 MSPs that have ever succeeded at automation that have never asked a question. So one of my indicators of whether or not you will succeed is whether or not you're asking questions. Don't forget, we have Flow coming up. Someone posted the link to Flow. Thank you. Flow is our MSP industry automation conference. You could talk about any type of automation there. It's not just about Rewst. We wanted to have as much of an independent automation conference as possible for the MSP space for you folks. With that, register early, register often. We will sell out. It's looking like it's going to be a crazy show. And if we're lucky, I can get Skyline Chili to cater, and you folks can experience all of the flavors that is Skyline. Can I get a here?
Meow.
With that, a couple other items. You will notice on the status webpage earlier in the week, we had some outages. I'm glad that I announced the other week on our 30-day uptime of 100%, because we did not hit that this week. We did get a fix out.
Shouldn't have said anything.
I know, it's because I said something. We did get a fix out for the race conditions, so we're good there. Some additional code was attempted, unrelated to this, was attempted to go out earlier, and it apparently did not. And so that's why we had the blip shortly before the call. So nothing got out. We're all good. We're all back to normal. Let your workflows run. Let them be free. Think of them as like thoroughbreds. With that, I think that's my update. I'm going to pass it over to Ash.
Thank you. All right. So I think that we have probably got a pretty full agenda today. So we're going to move right along. We're going to jump over to Daniel.
Yeah, already.
With an A, the one with the A, yes.
The one with the A, okay, perfect. Hey, so I'll share my screen here. I will say that, like Aaron mentioned, we rolled this back in US. So depending on where you are in the world, these items are not out yet. Spoiler alert. But I'll go over them anyway because I have a little demo that's available in our staging environment. So, okay, first off, we have a couple. Every week you'll start, or every week for the last probably couple months at least, we've been pushing out new app builder features. So again, the goal of this is to just make app builder more intuitive, more user friendly, as well as responding to some of the requests of our app builder kind of power users. So one of the items that we released is the option to pass data from hidden columns in data tables. We've also added some improvements to the element name settings where you can assign node IDs to element names. We've done some work on our engine side. So on the back end, we've moved some topics over to RabbitMQ, which were previously running on Kafka. RabbitMQ has been a massive success. This is usually where Aaron butts in and starts to say something about RabbitMQ because it's his favorite thing in the world, but we'll see what he does. Maybe he won't just because I called him out. Okay, oh, great. That's what he does instead. Now I'm thrown off. Okay, integration related items. We've added some parameters to the Microsoft Exchange Online invoke command action. So this will help with some filtering and could lead to performance increases. We've added some new endpoints to various integrations, including DATO-PSA and Central, Enable and Central. We've added more transforms. Dan Hayes is just on a tear, and I forgot to follow up and ask if we were going to get any demos on that, but I have something small to show about that. So yeah, we've been adding transforms like it's nobody's business lately. And then we added some functionality to automatically restart delayed workflow executions. This is more of an improvement to how we treat items that are delayed or pending start. So this is just a improvement to our reliability of delayed workflows for whatever reasons workflows can be delayed. Again, a whole bunch of bug fixes and chores that I won't necessarily go through, and I'll talk a little bit about what's coming soon. We still are doing beta testing for the generic GraphQL request action. So this gives you access to a whole bunch more endpoints within Rewst to get just more information about, for example, your workflow executions, and you can bring that into your workflow and manipulate that data and present it potentially through App Builder. We have some improvements to the workflow page and the workflow results page to help with search and filtering. We have a new dashboard widget that's going to be coming out, and we officially open up the doors to our first group of PowerShell testers. And so far, the response has been quite good. So for those who haven't heard about this on a previous open mic, anywhere that you use Jinja, or almost anywhere that you use Jinja, you will now be able to use PowerShell. So that just means, hopefully, for many of you, there'll be a lower barrier of entry to Rewst if you're first joining. It also helps with like portability. If you have some scripts or some data manipulation that you already have running outside of Rewst that uses PowerShell, you can bring that right in. Okay, a couple things that I'll show.
The PowerShell. This is when I interrupt.
Okay.
Is there anyone that's part of the beta that's even done a hello world or anything that wants to speak up?
You mean in PowerShell just in general?
No, in Rewst.
I did a get random. I think I still have my get random log editor open.
What do you got?
I can share my screen real quick.
Sure. So this is my IT. Is this Derek from my IT crew?
Yes, it is.
Thank you for the help with testing, Derek.
It's no problem. It's literally just get random, but it made me unreasonably happy the first time I did it. So
we think this is a big differentiator for Rewst. If you look at automation platforms call this type of stuff complex expressions. And so if you are looking at other automation systems, what I would do is they're all going to show you the beautiful UI and the drag and drop editor. But what I would do is also Google that platform space complex expressions so that you can then learn what language that platform uses. And in a lot of cases, that language, if it's not, Rewst is Jinja and PowerShell here shortly, but it's usually JavaScript or Python that you see in those systems. We've got a couple questions. Who wants to go? A couple folks with hands up. Adam, Vincent.
Is there a will it allow like Microsoft Online PowerShell for like Exchange commands or no? Or things like that.
Is pizza on?
Aaron?
Sorry,
Yeah,
what was that?
Just seeing if pizza's on.
Do you want to ask your question again?
Are you able to hear me? I can't.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just asking if like exchange online commands or other things like that would be able to go through that PowerShell, or would it be like local stuff only? I don't know about modules and things like that.
Yeah, so you'll have full control over the package once it leaves our hands. If you're comfortable editing Azure Functions, you're more than able to edit that zip upload that we get or that we use, and then kind of add the installation as you normally would for Azure Functions. It takes a little bit of external knowledge, but you're more able to customize the environment in which we're operating in. That includes things like permissions. If you wanted to add permissions to the function app to allow it to do more things in your tenant, things like that. We don't ship it with any specific permissions. So, but that's kind of the point, is to allow some customization.
Thanks.
Devin?
Yeah, I was just gonna show something else that I had just thrown together in PowerShell 2. Just something simple. I just wanted to see what it looked like in PowerShell instead of Jinja. So that's kind of what we got here, just to show a little more off.
Which do you prefer, the Jinja or the PowerShell?
The PowerShell, I mean, so to write this in Jinja, it's actually a lot faster. But I understand like the barrier of entry, right? Like it took me quite a while, at least for me, to kind of understand Jinja at its full extent, especially when we get into like list comprehension and things like that. This is a lot easier like to comprehend in PowerShell than initially when I did it in Jinja.
Thank you so much for sharing your screen.
Yeah.
And testing
Yeah.
PowerShell. And also over 200 people on the call.
Oh yeah, 203. Look at that. Yeah, I don't have anything spectacular to show like those PowerShell demos today, but just wanted to show that we do have a couple of new endpoints for Datto Autotask PSA as well as enable. So we have the create. We have appointment actions now. And then we also have one of the transforms that we have here is just to remove duplicates from lists. So I have a list of all the variations of Daniel. And then if I just run this, let's see. So you can see that this worked out pretty quickly. So it removed a couple of those from the list. I have case sensitive set to true. You can see that I created an appointment and then I got it. Appointment's Adam's birthday. Happy birthday, Adam. And then if I go to false here, let's close this, go to false and rerun it, you'll see that the transforms action has now successfully removed all those variations and is just looking at the, it is now not case sensitive. So yeah, just a couple of cool things that we released amongst a whole big list of things that are actually going to be coming out soon, hopefully in the next couple of business days. So thanks everyone, back to you, Ash.
Thank you. Awesome. That was fun. A few good points. One of them, yes, plus equals immediate ban unless it's with numbers and math. All right. So let's jump now to JP for our marketplace update.
Hello, everyone. For marketplace update, as usual, we have a good number of changes and bug fixes on existing crates, which you can go over. If you go to rewst.help, you can find all of our marketplace notes, which is really useful to go over them later. We have a new crate released. It's basically going over goes between an RMM and your WebRoot or Sentinel-1 portals and does comparison between the two and tries to find discrepancies between the two lists. It works both ways. So it shows RMM endpoints that don't have a corresponding entry in the antivirus portal, and it also shows the other way around. So if you have extra things left over in the AV portal that don't exist in your RMM tool, also will give you some feedback on that. This is a workflow, purposefully pretty straightforward. List out computers. You do some. This one is probably the most unique to this, but it gives you both WebRoot. We have it built for both WebRoot and Sentinel-1. And we do a comparison between the two and create a ticket. Go ahead and show you just an example and manage what that will look like. There are quite a few machines here in our test environment that just don't have these particular AV products enabled. And we also have some devices apparently in WebRoot that we don't have in one of our RMM in our test environment. So that hopefully is fairly useful. I know that's something when I worked at an MSP that I was good for compliance and billing examination. Coming soon, we're working on disk space monitoring and alerting crate, as well as something to look at newly created admin accounts. So those are things that are coming soon.
Thank you. All right. Next up, Brandon. Brandon, Education World, Cluck Universe. Where are we going?
Universe. That's right. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I love that. We're going to go with that. Cluck Universe. All right. All right. So I got to start with my game tip of the week. Amidst the tumultuous Nintendo Switch 2 news and pricing and everything else going on, I'm just going to turn your attention back to the mod retro chromatic and say, don't miss these cool indie games like Chantley, which is Chanty, sorry, which is a indie pirate rhythm game, and it's awesome. So check this stuff out. Go look at mod retro. There's other games you can play. Y'all got Steam. Don't be like me and be sad about all the Switch 2 pricing. Anyway, shout outs to Isaiah, Seth, Noah, Michelle, Matt, Adam, Ken, and Dylan for passing the Foundations certification. You guys will get your prestigious Certified Rooster badge in Discord and access to our not so super secret Discord channel. Shout outs to Jody, Cody, Noah, Jeff, and David for passing the Clean Automation certification. Love seeing that. Say this every week. I'm going to say it again. Aaron's gone too far with AI. That's going to be the thing I say every week now. But aside from that, with certification, definitely check out that Clean Automation course. If you haven't already, if you've done Foundations, Clean Automation is an excellent way to build better workflows and become more efficient in what you're doing to continue to get the most value out of Rewst with your automation building. We have a new training schedule live on calendly.com/clucku. So definitely check those out. You have Automation Basics live, you have Foundations live, and Clean Automation is going to be live every month, once a month, and you'll be with the legendary Eddie Chow, who is a legend and loves to be reminded that he is such. Otherwise, if you have any questions while you are going through the certification process or you're continuing to learn, especially if you're new, definitely check out in Discord the Cluck U channel. Feel free to dive in, ask any questions. There's a lot of people there to help. And we will be there and available as well. So definitely check that out. And if you have any questions and want to join the legendary Eddie Chow live to pick his brain, which I highly recommend, you can also check out our office hours on Thursday. All right, we're going to be shifting some of our updates to not only talking about documentation updates, of which there are many, but also our Cluck University LMS updates. And we've come out with the Cluck University LMS. Just something that you all need to be aware of if you're going through the Cluck University courses on our documentation site right now. We are going to have an end of life date as of next Friday there, and everything is going to be in the learn.rewst.io Cluck University LMS. So definitely switch over if you haven't already, and we will continue to be building content and improving things there. So what's new at Cluck University this week? We've done a lot of work to continue improving this even as we've gone live. So we've updated some of the styling, like the header and the footer. We've updated notifications so that you'll have emails that are coming from the courses and helping you with your progress. We've added live registration training for all of the courses taught by the legendary Eddie Chow, and we will be shifting over to the LMS for signing up there as well. Again, that's for automation basics, foundations, clean automation, office hours, and you'll be able to register through the end of May, and sessions for June and beyond are coming soon. We also have updates to Rewst Foundations and Clean Automation certification courses. So we are working to import data for customers who have already earned both of these, so you can see your progress in the LMS. We've added LinkedIn integration so that you can seamlessly share your certifications once you get those. We've also adjusted some of the questions for Rewst Foundations to clearly designate where there are multiple answers that apply. So we've gotten some feedback for that, and we're working through that as we speak. And we've also fixed an issue to re-enroll customers who did not pass the exam and now need to take it again. So that is all taken care of. A lot more to come on that one, so we'll keep you guys updated. When it comes to documentation, we have a massive list of updates here. So we have the Kaseya BMS integration setup page updated, remove malicious emails and block sender crate added, the billing count report crate added, Microsoft 365 quarantine email release crate added, and then we've updated the documentation on templates and scripts, as well as the Acronis integration setup. And we have a large update to our existing documentation around workflows. Over several pages, we've basically reorganized this entire section to try to make it more easily searchable and helpful for y'all. So I'm not going to go through every single one of these pages, but definitely check out the big changes. Lisa on our team has been doing an incredible amount of work on documentation, and we're going to continue building all of this out and improving as we go forward. So that's going to be it for me this week. Back to you, Ash.
Thank you, Brandon. Clea has offered to give us a demo of the LMS, so we will loop back around to that at the end if there's time, and if not, we will get that on the agenda for next time. Now, quickly, let's just jump over to George. Do you got anything you want to cry out as our community crier today?
Yes, short and sweet for me this week, guys. Just wanted to highlight new quarter and a bunch of great activities that our marketing team has lined up. So, this month or as soon as next week, we are going to be at NerdioCon over in California and Enable Empower over in Europe in Berlin. And then later in the month at the True Methods get together. So if anyone in the community is attending those, be sure to stop by and say hi to our team in person. But also wanted to flag this month's webinar, which we've got a huge amount of interest in already, that is with Thread and Homefield, looking into how you can automate end-to-end support with Rewst and Thread. So tying the best two of those things together for all things automation and AI. So I'll drop the link to register for that. That's in a couple of weeks. Check it out. Hope to see you guys on there. That's it from me this week, Ash.
Thank you, George. Okay, so for our demos today, we're going to start with Ben, who is a resident on our ROC team, and I believe that he has some interesting ways that he's dug in and understood Open API stuff. Am I right, Ben?
That's right. Let's see, we'll get that out of the way there. And so I was working with another team member, and we were wanting to work on a personal project. I think they had a weather station, and I was kind of taking for granted some of the knowledge that I had, like finding these open API docs at this point. And so I put a quick little thing together just to show kind of some tips and tricks. So when we were on a call together and we were looking to try to find the schema, and we searched API schema, and that didn't really come up with much. We searched Swagger, which led us to this page, but this really didn't give us anything to download an actual schema. So a couple tips when you run into pages like this. Often the Swagger is being used to generate the page. So a couple things we can look for. We can view the source, and on this one, if you look about halfway down, we can see the schema is right here in the source code. And the other thing, if it's a little bit more obscured, we can use F12, which I have to be careful about because I border Missouri where they think F12 is hacking. But if we reload the page, we'll see, hang on, there it is. If we look for JSON in the network tab, we'll also see the Swagger doc here if it wasn't as obvious in the source code. We got this, and it still had a few little issues with it. So I brought out a tool that I actually made recently and released called Schema Doctor. And what this does is it actually takes care of a lot of common schema syntax issues. And so I can paste this in here when the selected options, and it'll give me a readout of everything. Now, removing examples may seem counterintuitive, but in this case, we don't need them for Rewst. So it basically shortens the file size, which makes it easier to work with in Rewst. But we can see that there was a few default descriptions missing, which would have caused an error. We made sure that the JSON was formatted, and we converted it to OpenAPI 3. Once we copy this into Rewst, we've got a happy little schema here on the import. The other thing to think about with things like these is look up the type. If you look at their API documentation, it doesn't have a clear one. Look up the GitHub for the documentation platform. So with Redocly, the way that works is you actually reference the Swagger in the HTML like we were talking about. So that gave us a hint there. When you look at Swagger UI sites, the way that it typically works is you'll add a Swagger on the end. So for example, with this schema, they don't tell you where the Swagger is actually located. But if I put Swagger JSON on the end, I get a schema that I can use. Building onto that, let's say you get into some really weird stuff and the schema is really a mess. One of the tools that I like to use is API Builder, which gives you a actual GUI to work with. So you can see all the paths, all the components, all the details, and you can edit it in a GUI that's easy to use. And the last one that I wanted to point out, if you're like, man, this has like 400 paths and I need like 10. There's a GPT on the marketplace called Actions GPT, and it'll build an open API schema based on the pass that you passed it. So in this example, I just said, create me a spec for the Reddit API, and I just need the moderation pass, and it generated a working API spec. And I think that's what I got. So just a quick little one.
Love that. That's amazing. There's so many little things. Daniel, yes? Question? Were we raising the roof? Okay, no, we're good. There's so many, there's so many little helpful dev type tools out there like that that people are building and that have been existing. And I love when people can tie them together and show how it helps out. If anyone else has things like that, we should have a conversation in Discord about it to continue. Derek, let's jump over to you now.
Hello again. While I'm getting this loaded up, I'd just like to say that the last time I showcased something, you put me right after somebody that built his own API or something insane. So stop doing that. These ones that go before me are really impressive, and then they make mine look not as impressive.
Next time you're
All right.
first, but yours is always impressive.
All right. So I recently started at the company I'm with now, and one of their primary things that they told me cannot be done at all, they had somebody try it for several hours and they couldn't figure it out, was they want to return Microsoft licensing, but they're not using Pax8 or anything. They're using Microsoft CSP, Partner Portal, all that. And I said, well, let me give it a shot. And so this is my shot. And I've worked on it for a while and I'm really happy. And the biggest issue is when you query graph, you get, I think it's the correct GUID, but you don't get how many licenses are currently in use. When you query CSP, you get how many licenses are in use, but the GUID's totally different. So there's no real way to put those two together easily. So what I ended up having to do was get the CSV from Microsoft that has, I don't know, like 10,000 of their licenses, some just stupid high number, and figure out a way to compare, contrast, and get the correct information that I wanted. So this is how I did it. Obviously, we come through, we get the subscriptions, we configure the subscriptions to be more easily readable. Then we get the graph licenses, do the similar thing. And then here's where we get the license lookup table. This is just an HTTP request to download the table from Microsoft. Convert that over to JSON. And here's where the meat and potatoes is in this master license. I mean, I could go over this, but it's pretty long. It's pretty complicated. Essentially, what we're doing is going through and matching on the GUIDs with the friendly name and the friendly name with the CSP or the product name. I'm sorry, we're matching GUIDs with product name in the CSV and then the product name with the friendly name from partner. It has its own challenges. For example, the first one that I've found so far is Intune Plan 1 doesn't show up at all. So I had to obviously make a custom one for Plan 1. I expect as we go along with this, there's going to be other ones that are similar. But yeah, it's just pretty cool. And then the other challenge is we're allowed to return any licenses that are not in use in the first 7 days. After that, since we're doing a monthly, we get 7 days from the license purchase to return it. I got this working, of course, and I said, there you go, we can run it, on the first week of the month. And naturally, the first response was, well, what about the other 21 days? Can we run it once a week? So I had to determine, obviously, if it was the first week of the month, if it was outside of that week, and then we just pass that into the sub workflow that actually returns the licenses. So if it is within the first week of the month, it's really easy. We just batch update the subscription quantity with the number that are currently in use and move on. The challenge I had from outside of the first 7 days is, we may have 50 licenses in use and 55 that we've purchased, but only one of those extra 5 were purchased in the last 7 days. So we actually just created a loop that says, okay, return 55 or 54. I'm sorry, return 5. That doesn't work, return 4, return 3 until it can't return anymore. And then it just kind of pushes out. The last thing that I did that I've started doing that I really, really like is I've started injecting some flavor into my notifications. So for example, on this one, where are we at here? Right here. This will be the email that runs if we're just returning it for one organization. And I've obviously used ChatGPT to help me, but I've created 50 different pre-messages that go through and just provide a little bit of extra flavor, and then I randomly select one and plug it in. I've also done this with a message after the data, as well as the footer. And I found that it really helps with the overload of emails or Teams messages. If they know, like, hey, you know, this is going to be something a little bit different, you know, typically they're pretty funny. So, you know, it's worth a read instead of just looking at the same pre-generated text every time. So I have a couple examples here of what it looks like. So when you run it against one organization, this will be the email that you get. It shows all the different teams or all the different licenses, how many were returned, what that cost per license is, and then how much we saved because of this. If we weren't able to return any licenses, then they just get a simple, it was able to run, but no licenses were returned. And then if we run it in as a batch against all of our organizations, this list is significantly longer, but you see it's very similar layout. It's just every single company has its own entry. And then we have a final cost analysis that aggregates all of the total savings and gives it out to you. So that's that in a nutshell. It took me a while. I'm pretty happy with it.
That is really awesome. Getting a lot of love. Anybody have any questions for Derek?
If this was a Rewst demo, I'd be saying win prod.
Bronson said, how do you find the time? You kind of touched on your timing a little bit. What was the biggest time spending in this experience?
The biggest was actually trying to find the data sources or to aggregate the data sources to make sure that it's the right one. If anybody's ever dealt with especially the CSV, I mean, they've got probably 15 licenses that are all Microsoft Business Basic, and they've got 10 different numbers that go along with it. So trying to match which one went with which was probably the biggest time sink.
I have another question. So what's your role at the MSP?
I was lucky enough to score full-time automation engineer, so pretty happy.
And what were you? What was your prior role?
Cybersecurity engineer, so a lot different.
No, you're like me. I went from cybersecurity to automation too.
It's the only way to go, in my opinion.
Aren't you happy to be out of the industry with all the buzzwords?
Absolutely, and the constant stress. Yeah, so happy.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jack asked, what have you got set for time savings on this before I move on to you?
Oh, I don't have a times. Yeah, I don't yet. We're still, so it's not in prod yet. We're in the day 4 of full testing. And so I don't really know how to do it because there's been a lot of how are we going to run this? And so I actually didn't show, there is a batch parent workflow, and I think I'm just going to put a time savings on there and then talk to my finance people and say, hey, you know, how long does this take you? Because they do it every month by hand. So my guess is probably an hour and a half.
Awesome. Slow down. All right. All right, so now we are going to move over to Emmett. Emmett, it is time for you to show off your stuff.
All right, so I've been working on a single sign-on approval workflow, if you will. Everyone here knows what single sign-on is and how great it is that you don't have to create a username and password for applications that you and your organization may use. But we found out that there is a setting that is in Microsoft that allows us to kind of lock down some of the single sign-on applications and have the users request access to certain single sign-on applications because of the API requests that some of the applications use. Bad actors can impersonate sign on pages and get our users' credentials and use them for not good things. So there's a little bit of setup that I had to do to get this working. First off, here's the consent and permissions in the enterprise applications. Most of the time, it's set to do not allow user content or consent for apps. So that means it doesn't send anything. It doesn't do anything. It's not looking for any. It's not looking at APIs that may be categorized as low impact or medium impact or high impact. What we have set is allow user consent for apps. Verify publishers for selected permissions. Those permissions that are classified as low impact are things like offline access, view user's email address, sign users in, and the like. So what we have set up is whenever a user that doesn't already have permission to a application to use single sign-on, it sends an email to a shared mailbox that a few of us monitor. And one of my coworkers suggested that the email creates a ticket so that way we can review the application, review the request, and get back with the user and make sure that it's an actual request and that they actually need access to the application before we go ahead and approve it. So to get the ticket created, we had to create a logic app in Azure, which took a handful of steps to do. It's easier to do than some of the bot framework stuff. All you have to do is go to portal.azure.com, log in with your creds, and then search logic apps, and then hit add, and it's fairly simple after that. We've got, here's the results, but I had to do some development on this side. And if it's going to load, there we go. When the new email arrives in shared mailbox, the app requests at leadmanagedit.com, it then hits our webhook, and that is tied to the workflow, and JSONs the subject, the from, the to, and the body. So go over here to the workflow, and it's fairly simple after that. It creates the ticket, creates the webhook, adds a note to the ticket that says approval for the application is needed. It waits for a couple of seconds, so that way our dispatcher can assign the ticket. And here's where it goes one of two different ways. After the delay for the workflow, if the status of the ticket is still set to assigned, then you can then it will get the owner of the ticket and send the approval email to the owner of the ticket, and then wait for the webhook response. Or if it is set to awaiting client authorization, it will send the approval email to the person that submitted the ticket. And after we've connected with them and made sure that it was actually them, and then it again awaits the webhook results. So. I can show what it looks like, but it's it's a long. The Microsoft minutes go long and hard with this one. So
I'm not sure. Like, it was super informative. Everybody is giving you lots of reactions. I'm not sure if you answered Adam's question here. He said, "Would you do this SSO app enterprise for SSO app enterprise registrations?" Yes, 5 minutes ago. So I'm not sure if it was about something that you specifically were talking about. Adam, you can jump in if that's still a question that you have. Anyone else have any questions? Otherwise, we can move on.
Emmett, are you consolidating these if you have multiple users requesting access to the same app?
not yet. It's a we're still trying to work out a lot of the kinks. I mean, and by kinks I mean just putting finishing touches on it. So so once we get, like, I would like to add a couple of different things, like an update to the ticket. Once we do add some of those, I would like to see, hey, so-and-so has requested multiple times this application. We'll add on to that, if that answers your question.
I just wrote in the chat, but I had a similar problem with SOC requests to my PSA, and so if you had found a workaround for that, I was going to give you huge kudos.
Yes, Lucas, Alden does win Best Mic Award. You sounded like you were in my brain there, Alden. Thank you, Emmett.
Step back a little bit.
Thank you, Emmett, for that presentation. That was super helpful and informative. Now we are going to shift gears a little bit and jump over to one of our Fun Day workflows. Internally, we've got Colby. You want to jump in there?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Emmett, you can stop sharing your screen there.
Go ahead and share. I heard the complaints about presenting after impressive things. This is going to really be that to the extreme, because this is really, really unimpressive compared to everything we've seen today. But for the fun kind of April Fool's workflows, this is one I had been working on already. I'm fairly new to Rewst, and so this was kind of a learning project for me. So it's not pretty, but it works. This is the Joke 2.0 workflow, where you can send a joke to someone via text or email. So you can select your joke subject, which pulls in. I wanted to create an option generator, so pulls in from the joke APIs. There is a disclaimer that the Chuck Norris jokes can be inappropriate, so we can be careful of that. But pretty easy workflow. Just wanted to create some listeners and some a wrapper to kind of gain some practice with building workflows. But there's 2 joke APIs that it pulls from to get different kinds of jokes, and it's yeah, I don't know there's much else to go over. It's pretty basic in just being able to send a joke to people. The implementation team has used it a little bit to send each other jokes, and I definitely added a listener, so if anybody sends a joke, I get to see what it was. So
what was Oh, go ahead.
If I've ever seen a use for negative time savings, this is it, Daniel.
You and John get the badge.
Awesome.
So what was the most, what was the biggest learning experience in this workflow for you?
Good question. I think it was just kind of figuring out the kind of little ticky-tacky things. You know, I've been with Rewst for about 3 months, so not long at all. All of this is mostly new to me. So I think it was just kind of figuring out how to use the canvas and linking things together and realizing how much of the work is done in the transitions was kind of the big thing. And then trying to get the Chuck Norris results to be less inappropriate, which was unsuccessful. So
that's really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And like people were commenting, and Owen shared a screenshot or a picture, a GIF as well. GIF, oh my God, a meme. People love the fun, silly, entertaining, negative time saving stuff. So anybody else that's listening, please never think that it's boring or simple after the day. They all have their value and we love them all. Leah, is 6 minutes enough time?
It definitely can be.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
You can have the floor then.
All right. Let's see here. Are you all seeing welcome to Cluck University? Awesome.
Yep.
The good news is you don't even have to know that this website exists or memorize the URL, although it's pretty simple. It's learn.rewst.io. If you are logged into Rewst, you can get there seamlessly. So if I click this little sign in button, it's going to ask me to pick my Rewst region, and you can have a lot of fun, making Stuart roll his eyes. But if you happen to be in Rewst anyway, you can access the Cluck U button here or anytime through the Resource Center via the question mark icon in the bottom right, and just hop on over to Cluck University. So kind of makes sense. You're learning about Rewst through Rewst. This will log you into the platform. You can take a look at your profile. There's no new credentials to memorize, etc. You can upload a fun little picture of yourself or maybe your boss's face. And here we go. So what do you do from here? If you're a brand new customer, we have tried to make this a little bit of a seamless journey. Begin with the basics, automation basics, that is, 4 short courses available self-paced and live with the amazing Eddie. Rewst Foundations, there's stuff that you can build, etc. We have office hours. If you have already attended and completed the Rewst Foundations and Clean Automation coursework, then you can also just go ahead, bypass all that, and get certified. So Brandon mentioned some updates to this. Of course, once we launch, there's always little things that we find to fix. So let us know in the Cluck U Discord if you come across any issues or if you have good or bad feedback. We want to hear about it. If you're not quite sure what you're looking for, the homepage doesn't particularly speak to you, or you just want something else, then just know that you can go to Home, search courses, and kind of filter by topic, such as Jinja. Narrow things down to intermediate, beginner, advanced, etc. Or you can just use these filters on the left, like I want some advanced content. Well, here we go. I can build a PSA ticket automation in 30 minutes or less. Once you register for something, you can go ahead and get started. And if you get distracted, like I often do, you can pick up where you left off through My Learning. So this will show you all your registrations. You can jump back in and pick up where you left off. And there's a lot to explore. So again, do check out the stuff on the homepage if you haven't yet. And if you're a brand new Rewst customer, we have a brand new onboarding journey for you. So 11 courses all about setting up your organizations, org variables, different crates. We have office hours, just a lot of good stuff to explore at your own pace and live. So happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Woo. 2 minutes to spare. Yeah, I did it. Proud.
That is the sign of a career educator. Here's how much time you've got. All right, I'm ready. Aaron, we're about to wrap up. What you got to say? What do you got to say for yourself?
Thank you for the turnout, everybody. There was over 200 people on the call. So thank you very much. I know this can be a highly technical call. We're working on calls that are less technical for leadership and owners, but feel free to listen in to us geek out. Also, I want to thank the presenters. They presented in front of 200 people. That can be stressful. That takes time away. So thank you so much for putting in the effort. If you're beta testing PowerShell, please test it, use it, tell us what's not working, tell us what is working, give us some wins. The wins motivate the team. And then flow. Buy your tickets early, buy your tickets often. We are going to sell out. Registration has been very good to us. So with that, thank you, everybody. I'll see you in the coop. Come join me in the coop. Come join your friends there. Help your MSP peers out. And have a good weekend, everybody.
Meow.
Meow.